Hey guys, it's the Gundam Boy, and today we're going to be taking a look at a very questionable weapon I've used in the game. At first I thought I hated it, and then I used it, and then I hated it a little bit, and then I enjoyed it a little after. That's right, we're taking a look at the ARC-12 Blitzer, and I'll get into why I don't like it. And if the title doesn't tell you why, then I don't know, learn to read. But let's get straight into it. You can get this weapon for yourself on the Cutting Edge Warbond on the final page. I could have sworn it was a lot sooner, but it's been so long since I've seen this Warbond. So, taking a look at its stats, we have 250 damage, capacity of infinity, recoil of 45, and a fire rate of 45. It's also medium pen. And if you're curious about its customization, it has literally nothing, with the iron sights being on the last, only giving you 70 ergonomics. Now you can look to the left a second faster, but taking a closer look at the actual weapon stats, we can see that it has 50 damage and a durable damage of 35. This is important to know because it is a arc shotgun. An arc shotgun that can spread its damage at pretty wide ranges, as each arcing point right here is 50 damage. Unlike the arc thrower cousin, the Blitzer can be a little unpredictable while you're using it in the field, because sometimes the arcs can be wide and sometimes it can be narrow. I mean extremely unpredictable, as you could be firing at enemies directly in front of you and an arc can completely go off in a random direction. Or in some cases, the entire arc chain will completely miss what you're aiming for. Or if you barrel stuff an enemy, it will just all chain to that one target. Another thing you should keep in mind while using the Blitzer is that it has extremely short range, which means you have to get in really close to the enemies that you want to shoot, which can be dangerous depending on the faction you're going up against. So if you're trying to hit someone that's out of your range, you might need to swap to your secondary. On top of already being a very unpredictable weapon, you also need to keep in mind you can't really guide where the arcs are gonna go, as they all kind of go to the center of mass for certain targets. So if you're trying to shoot a bot trooper off of a Gatling gun, you probably should pull out your sidearm and just end them that way. And for the love of God, please keep in mind the terrain while using this weapon, because crowded areas or even a couple of boxes can really ruin your aim. So taking a look at it in game, there is nothing for the weapon wheel. That's it. Whoops, sorry Curry, I am recording. So let's take a look at it on the bot front, and I'm gonna be real with you, do not bring it on the bot front. And to no one's surprise, yes, it one-shots the trooper. And that's only one of the two enemies that it does fare against, as it makes it a good juggling counter against things like berserkers, capable of killing it within 3 shots. But remember, it is completely up to RNG where the electric lands, which is just as bad against the Devastator, because he does have armor resistance on just the chest plate, which so happens to be where the arc chains, which can make it very time-consuming to kill just one Devastator, which takes at least 5 seconds to do. And considering the fact that these guys can show up sometimes in pairs of 6 means it would take 30 seconds to kill them all. And that's not even accounting for what else the dropship dumps on you. And you're probably wondering why I only talked about the Devastator. Well, it's because the heavy dev can actually block your arc shots. Yes, you can break his block sometimes, but it's not always guaranteed. And if you're lucky, sometimes his arm will completely fly right off. And since now that his arm is off, you can finally kill him within the same 4 shots that it takes to kill a normal dev. And I had a really interesting test that I wanted to show you guys, because I singled out this heavy dev over here, and I was actually able to kill him in 2 shots. I wasn't joking when I said that this gun was unpredictable. I don't even know what I did different this time. Oh, and it gets much worse. Going up against Scout Striders, it can be completely ineffective, as it always aims for the center of mass, making it the only way you can actually hit it is through barrel stuffing the enemy. So you have to get like directly underneath it and shoot it in the cock for it to kill him, which took 3 shots. And if you're going up against the variant that has the rockets on the side, you can kill it in 1 shot, but I could also do that with my handgun. The main problem with this weapon on the bot front is that it's unpredictable and it's inconsistent. And with its very poor range capabilities, you might as well just bring a normal shotgun. And sure, it's pretty good against berserkers, but it doesn't change the fact that there is more than berserkers in this game. And it does have the damage output to technically one-shot a dev to the face. But the fact that this weapon's solely RNG dependent means you'll very rarely see that once-in-a-lifetime headshot. For the sake of the team, and especially for the sake of your own enjoyment, do not bring the ARC-12 Blitzer on this front. You're just gonna be very bored at the end of the game. And I almost stopped making the video at this point, but I forgot there's other fronts. Do not bring it to the bots. Otherwise, a Shredder tank will give you a concussion. Moving on to the illuminate front, where it already fares a little bit better than where it was on the bots. If you can get all 5 arcs to hit a single Voltless, it should instantly kill them. Unless you're going up against the heavy Voltless, which has 160 health, as he just kinda dies a second after getting hit. But it's not always a guaranteed kill, since the arc likes to be a little freaky, leading to situations where you need to just pull the trigger another time to finish them off. It is a fairly good weapon against the Voltless as a horde controlling weapon, but I definitely wouldn't put it in chaff clear because it's way too slow. If it takes all 5 of the arcs to get this guy to die in a second later than the normal Voltless, you can imagine what it's like when you spread your damage across multiple Voltless. So keeping all the enemies at a range is very important while using this gun against the Voltless, as you need as much distance as you can to get your arc recharged. weave. Going up against my biggest op in the game, it takes around 4 shots for you to kill an Overseer at point blank. And if you ever want to stun him, you have to make sure that his armor is actually blown off before you can do it. And that energy shield that he can put up makes him very unfazed by any of your ARC moves. But that's where it's limited against the elevated Overseer, who has a bit more range, which can lead to more unpredictable movements for your ARC. And I got a good reason why it takes longer to kill these guys. It's literally because of the way they're posed. Their arms do block their chest, which means inconsistent damage. Also, adding on the movement that they have means that the ARC will hit a lot of parts of their body, saturating the attacks all over the place, not killing him in 4 shots like its grounded cousin. Now imagine trying to fight both an Overseer and an elevated Overseer at the same time. It's just a very limited weapon for fighting up these guys, and you'd have to swap to something else to try and get them out of the way. And if the game would let me show you the fucking flesh, I'm gonna be real with you, do not use this against the flesh mob. There's not a lot of primaries in the game that can kill a flesh mob, but the ARC-12 Blitz is definitely not one of them. Because last time I checked my math, it would take 26 shots to kill this guy. And in this clip, specifically where I killed the flesh mob with just the ARC-12 Blitz, it took 25 seconds to do it. But if a snitch is ever close to you, you can shut it up. Yay! So, going up against both grounded types of Overseers and the Voteless, it does pretty damn well. But against the enemies that actually cause a problem in this game, it does pretty doo-doo. As you will very rarely get situations where a snitch flies this close without alerting everybody. Elevated Overseers are already jackasses and a pain to deal with. Now you have to deal with a gun that's short-ranged, and flesh mobs have 6k HP. Yeah, no. The Blitz 12 by itself, I wouldn't really use it. It needs some extra supporting gear. But where it sucked on the bots and it did alright on the squid, I have to say it does pretty damn well against the bugs. Of course the gun that looks like a bug zapper would do great against them. And since most of the enemies on this front have really big ass heads on the front of their body, it means it's really easy for the ARC-12 Blitzer to abuse the fact that you can pop their head off. And with the heavy stun, it means you can shut down bug breaches. Unlike the other factions, this is the only place where you're guaranteed to get a one-shot kill, which makes it a great counter against Brood Commander spam, as every time they throw a warrior at you, it means just tapping them to death. Even up against the Hive Guards, who are the least threatening enemy in the game, just take a couple of zaps to take them out. Or if you're lucky, you can get all 5 of the arcs to hit them and kill them in one shot. And sure, you can annihilate things like the little bugs, but it does really struggle against the bigger guys, as multiple Brood Commanders can make your day feel like it's gonna take a lot longer to end. Because if you're the host, the Brood Commander will rapidly spawn more and more of these warriors to try and face you off, extending how long it takes to kill them off. And Bile Spears being one of the worst enemies for you to have to fight with this weapon, as the constant barfing and horking means large groups of these guys can make it very difficult for landing a shot to properly put them down. And you don't even want to aim for his ass either, because it has 90% durability, which would choke your damage up way more, which would take around 4 shots, assuming you can get him to stay still long enough. Even when I shot the leg off the charger, it still wouldn't arc to it, and it would only aim for his big ass head. And despite all the drawbacks and all the places that I've used this weapon, I still found a way to have fun using it within a loadout, but not on the bot front. I'd rather fight a cow with a small handheld taser while the bull's in heat. Rather, I found the loadout to be very useful on the illuminate and the bug front. This is a very flexible loadout, because all it really needs to work is guard dog gas. The last 3 stratagems are totally up to you, but I personally found that I like to use flamethrower or just a bigger arc gun. Or if I need to play a supporting anti-tank role, I would bring the Epoch. And the way you use this loadout is pretty simple. You let guard dog gas confuse everybody while you tase or burn everything else. Combining a weapon that can stun and a weapon that can confuse will make you practically untouchable on the bug front. The best part was I just held down the left click and let the arc do all the work while the guard dog farted on everybody. But there is going to be some situations where you're probably going to want to swap to bigger guns. The combat role of this loadout is a disruptor role. This allows teammates to complete objectives or focus on bigger targets. And the inclusion of the gas means you can disrupt the bigger enemies like chargers. And funny enough, Robot Pineapple and I realized that when you have 2 people with the Arc Blitzer, you can just constantly fire after one another to take out large groups of enemies. You could probably enhance this team dynamic if someone else was running a different type of guard dog. Anybody else want a spark spell from Skyrim? The nice thing about this loadout is that it's fairly flexible to whatever you need. You need more defense, we'll bring some sentries. You need more attack, we'll bring some red stratagems. The main thing you need to keep in mind if you're ever going to use my loadout is that it's a slow and steady kind of build. Take your time and mow down enemies. But I personally like to keep anti-tank on hand just in case I'm ever in a situation without teammates. So what do you guys think about the ARC-12 Blitzer? I personally use it on the bug front only. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys later.